That is inner circle. That is if you're in.
Okay, cut out Angie stripping.
No, leave that on for Patreon. That's worth a lot of money.
Right. I just realized we're actually recording.
Yes, that's what I just said 2 seconds ago.
Well, yeah, I like to
maybe
catch
we should
some
switch it and do like the first hour of Patreon, the second hour of YouTube.
I don't think we'll be able to behave once we've went this crazy.
Yeah, would we be able to tone it down?
I don't think so.
To amp it up after?
Oh,
I don't think so.
To be honest, I have not had to bleep out anything. I have not had to, only the stuff that Angie asked me to remove.
Shut the fuck up.
That's that. Well, we're at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, so even that'll fly. I don't.
Yeah.
Even that'll fly on YouTube.
Yeah, I think we might have to reverse this. Patreon first, YouTube second.
I don't even want
We're
that.
always emotional in the second part.
Yeah,
I know.
Are we okay? I have a question.
You want to get emotional?
No,
All right.
I'm excited though.
Okay.
The
Wait, where are we going with this?
I have Angie being excited in strip club in my mind.
I thought I was the only one that was going in that direction. I was waiting for someone to pick up.
That is the first snippet of the after show right there.
Angie, are you okay? Are you okay, Angie?
No. Mike doesn't even know about my past.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
He's not going to know because he doesn't want to join us.
You missed it earlier. I was like, Mike doesn't want to do these podcasts because he doesn't like any of you. And then Marilyn didn't skip a beat. That's okay, Mike. I don't like you. I was like, no, he's just really busy. So he's overworked and underpaid. I was going to just quickly touch on the conference. Are we all still coming?
I saw that. May 4th?
Yes. I'm going to be helping her with it because before I had seen we got the town approval today. And so I'm going to be helping out in some way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Here's my thought is Marcy gave her approval. Marcy gave her ownership.
Yeah.
Marcy's given her full support. Jenny wants to run with it.
She's very simple. Yeah.
That means it's closer to your place.
It's like not even 10 minutes away.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the same place or?
Yeah.
No, it's closer.
It's closer.
If we stay at the cottage again, we don't have that hour drive to get there in the morning.
That's what I was going to say. When we left the cottage last year, we drove like 50 minutes to get to the event.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This time it is, I don't know if you guys went to Rosie's, the store, where there was.
I've been there a few times.
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes from there. It's literally off of. Did you come up Highway 41?
I've been all over.
Tracy, when you came?
I think I did, yes.
So instead of coming up Buckshot, you just keep going 2 minutes and it's right around there.
Well,
so
that's
it's
okay because I'll have hooked up with you guys before that anyway. So I'll just and that's May 4th.
I think the
question is there poutine over there?
Oh, there will be poutine.
Poutine. It has to be
chip trucks within 25 minutes from here.
I'm talking about curds, not the shredded cheese stuff.
Hey, wait. We forgot to do one thing. So there was episode 1, episode 2, deux.
Hey, let's start now.
Episode 3 is trois.
Trois. Or trois.
Un, deux, trois.
What?
Way.
Way.
Is it way or we?
Wayne.
Yep.
Yeah. Wasn't it Annie that said she hated it when her kids would get Wayne, roll their eyes and say Wayne?
Well, there's obviously the rolling the eyes, but what was it? When they go why? It just, it's like, did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Like,
What?
I'm like, it's not simple. I gave you 2 choices, not like 5,000 choices. It's yes or no. And it just
Between.
I ate it, Mom.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. Like when I go to my parents, out of respect, I eat what's in my plate, but it's not necessarily something I will indulge. It's
meaning, would you want me to make it again,
yes,
kid, or not?
Yeah.
Don't make me come over there and club you like a baby seal.
Oh boy!
All right, let's get started. Hey, everybody, welcome to the No Borders Homesteaders
Episode 3.
Number 3.
What?
Now, this is going to screw up our whole rhythm. You got, When we were all doing the and it was, you got to get that, what is it? Is it chicken or duck thing?
Yeah,
What?
You're getting there,
I'm learning French.
So by next year, we're gonna make you count to like 52.
Oh,
The one thing that I remember the most,
count to 80.
Alphabet and numbers.
There's like 4 20s in 80.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Soon you're gonna be our honorary French Canadian.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's gonna be
That way,
awesome.
when Trevor says, "Well, if you're feeling
I'm almost
froggy,"
close
I
to
can say,
being an
"Yep."
honorary French Canadian.
Are you, Darren? So am
Almost.
I?
Almost. I still haven't. I think I need to learn a bit more.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I can read it.
I think I'm almost at the point where I'm an honorary French Canadian. I got to learn a little bit more Quebecois.
Well,
But you understand it. You just can't have a conversation, right?
No, I don't. I understand a little bit in petit peu, but for me, it's like I had the 3 French teachers that I've gone through, and the one was actually not bad. The second one was like, "Oh, you got to go to Montreal and learn about jazz and go to the jazz festivals and learn about Quebec culture." I'm like, that's freaking Montreal culture. That's not Quebecois culture.
No, Quebecois, you have to really go to Quebec City
like
and
old lady who was like 80 years old, and she was actually pretty good. So, but then my French lesson stopped because of the big C and stuff, and I was like, but I'm like, I want to be able to go home and ask my neighbor, "Est-ce que tu es en avant le bal de foin?" And they're like, "What? What do you mean? That's what you want to know?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I need to know." Like, hello. Like,
I can read it better than I and hear it. I can't speak it. Like I know the basic hello, goodbye, whatever. But I can read it. Like there's many emails because I work for a Quebec company, and so there's many emails that I get that sometimes I have to translate, but at least I get the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
And but I guess
like in the sales meetings we have, I get the general gist, but there's a lot of explanation in between that I need to be sure of what is actually happening.
Well, they understand probably that most of your French comes from Bridget cursing you under her breath.
Never.
No, was that the after party?
I was gonna say something, but no, that's kind of private.
That's why I'm like,
I was gonna say
speak French. It's like it's not an angry.
Funny is Mike and his American accent. I used to be like that, but I don't hear it anymore. So it's either he doesn't have it, like I hear it on his family, but I think he's lost a lot of it. But yeah.
He has.
Yeah.
Like I don't hear it that much, and I can pick up on U.S. accents pretty good. The funny thing is when I went to SHOT Show like a couple weeks ago, and I got to see my buddies from Georgia and down south again.
I love that accent.
Yeah. And they started talking with the southern drawl and the y'all, and and I started picking it up again, and because I spent so much time down there before I had that. And the worst thing is I'd be there and I'd say something like, "Y'all ain't from around here, eh?" And they're like, "What?" You just dropped a y'all and an A in the same sentence. Like, who's the one that's not from around here?
You just committed grammar crimes in 2 different countries.
Exactly.
I love it when I get calls from like Tennessee, Georgia. They're always like, "Yes, ma'am." Even the women.
Oh yeah.
Even the women, they very, very like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that accent just melts me.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody, or no, it was on a YouTube video. They were talking about Canadians. Canadians when they come down here. What was that?
Something cracked.
Was that you, Darren?
That balloon gun went flat.
Chair.
It was not me, I swear.
It wasn't me.
What's it mean?
These are the times when I'm glad that we are.
Listen. Okay, there's a microphone.
I
Listen.
think we have our culprit.
No, Remy, no, get it away.
That's my chair.
Oh,
You guys are going crazy over a chair.
Now you have to disinfect the microphone.
Thankfully, we can't catch anything through the microphone.
Maybe
You guys.
we should maybe refocus on the actual subject of the podcast
Yes.
before we sidetrack.
Yeah. Instead of
Tonight's
focusing
subject-
I need to wipe the screen off.
None of us are drinking, right?
no.
there.
This is natural.
Kickstart.
Yeah, I'm drinking water.
Is that
Tonight's topic. Should anyone care to go that way? Is what is one thing?
Whoa.
What?
What's the question?
You didn't even say the question.
What would you do differently if you were going to start homesteading again
Right there,
today?
Ryan?
But now I'm going to add a little twist to this. If you could go back in time to when you first started,
Hold on.
With the knowledge we have today?
with the knowledge you have today.
Wait. What was the question?
Pay attention.
I was trying to. But Marilyn was laughing too much.
What would you do differently if you could go back in time and start homesteading all over again?
Oh,
I think Angie wants to go first.
I think so. I would pick a homestead that wasn't the homestead we picked. Location and I would pick
I think there might be a little of that going around.
Yeah, location.
Location.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a great location as far as like the neighbors and the people. It's wonderful. I love it up here, but I would probably go a little bit more south because once you are north of a certain highway, the weather changes quite a bit compared to even just 45 minutes south of us. I would pick maybe with more earth and less rock. Because we're in the shield as well. Like, thankfully, the property that we're building on now is a lot more soil. The first cabin we had we didn't see it. We bought it unseen, like the ground, because it was covered in snow. It was all rock. So one minute we'd go to plant and we'd get this deep and we'd be fine. And then the next time, like just 6 inches over, and it would be like this far until you hit rock.
Wow.
So thankfully, where we moved, even just around the corner, we have a lot more earth here. But location, I would also choose to be closer to family and friends. That's one thing that's hard. They do come up here and enjoy a lot of the summer, but winter, fall, when people start to get cozy, it's less time with family, and we're doing most of the traveling. And I would probably start earlier for sure. I wouldn't wait until my 40s. I think I moved up in 2019, so I was 42. And so I wouldn't wait until my 40s to do it.
Why did you say they were 29?
Yeah.
Always 29. I just have like,
Hot.
now I have like 18 years experience with 29.
Oh,
So, and then I wish I could still, like, I do like the idea that we're building. There's a lot of things that we're adding to the homestead and the way we're shaping it, but it's very tough at the same time. So would I do it again? I think if I could pick up what we're doing, move locations, and do it 15 years earlier, then yes. Yeah.
I think that kind of volumes, but again, I would say that a lot of us would say, there's tons of things would change, but however, under the circumstances that we've been in, to be able to acquire our property, to be able to be where we are, there's not a lot we could have changed at that time.
100%.
There's a lot of things where we could say to others that might be in our position to say, maybe if you can hold off a little bit, or maybe if you're looking at this property, maybe check out this one. So there's lots of options. For example, for us, it would be like if we could find a spot that is on a stream or a creek or have water running through it, that would be ideal. But again, it came down to what we were presented with at the time of, our budget, the opportunities, the situations. So yes, there would be things we would change.
Mm-hmm.
Could we have done it for ourselves at that time? Maybe, maybe not. For others, I'd go through a few things that I would change if I had the opportunity at the time. Would be water flowing through the property. That would be a huge one for me. Another would be better soil conditions. If we had something that maybe a bit more clay, a bit more topsoil versus all sand, that would be awesome. If I was closer to family and friends, that would be great too. But again, if I was closer to my family and friends, that would take Brigitte away from her family and friends. So there's that toss up there. So probably a more established property would be great too. So something that maybe already had a food forest going, maybe already had fencing for cattle, that sort of thing. But then if we look at that, the price would have been higher.
Yeah.
If we look at
maybe
the house,
because remember, Patrick, they had a food forest and everything already established. However, it was so overgrown, nobody knew it was a food forest until he started cleaning up. So
yeah.
So
we wouldn't be in the country.
You can luck out in that situation where people may or may not know what they have.
Yeah.
So there's many situations where we can say, yes, I would have changed this. But again, depending on the circumstances you're in when you're purchasing, where you're at that time, it's hard to say, could I have waited? Could I have done something different?
Yeah, this property allowed us to leave the city because we had with, the sale of our home in the city, we had enough to buy the old cabin and this 9 acres. And so if we didn't choose this, we looked for a while too, when nothing allowed us to leave outright. And because we knew we were leaving our jobs, so trying to get a mortgage would have been almost impossible. So we knew we had to have a property that we could pay off with the proceeds of our home. So, yeah.
I don't think I would change location because obviously the knowledge that I have today, would definitely not make me choose this house. But I don't know if with the knowledge I have today, I would actually choose something different. Because if you're asking me this question now, where I almost quit last year, I think the only thing I would do is build differently here. So I had this vision that I thought was going to be super easy to, well, everyone that you see everywhere, they always share the good and never share the good, the bad, and ugly. So I never got the dark side of homesteading spat in my face. So I think the things I would do differently is find community first around where I am, like, and go visit places and start way slower, way slower. Like the chickens for sure, that I would not change. The chicken was food security. It was protein. It was fun. It was a fun project. The kids love it. And the animals, all of that. I don't regret it. I would probably establish a food forest and perennials first and learn. I grew almost everything I ate the first year, bought so many seeds, got burnt the first year.
Yeah, we all think we could do it all like that. If I wasn't doing it all, I wasn't homesteading when I first came out.
So I think finding a community would have made it different. Like I would have learned from the old folks, the grandpa, the uncle, and learn from them, and maybe like find a side hustle to work on a kiosk or a pick-me farm, like something to give me some experience to not fail as much, because I failed more within the 5 first years than I have succeeded. I'm completely transparent every time I talk. I say I messed up.
I can all agree to that we probably failed just as much as we have succeeded.
Yeah, well, now it's like the balance has switched, the shift, so I have more success. But I started homesteading to save money.
Yeah, and
I'm just gonna let that sink in a little bit, because I started homesteading to save money. Okay,
wait until my next video.
I'm sorry.
Money.
What did you say, Remy?
I said you wait until my next video.
Your next video is the next podcast.
My next video, well, not the next, because I already have one coming tomorrow morning, but the next one, next Wednesday, my video is precisely on homesteading math. And I'm just taking a few bits and pieces, and I'm showing that you can actually have profit. But the problem is with pretty much everyone that starts homesteading, we want to be at the end right away, and we invest maybe too fast. And we end up not necessarily.
There's a saying: you need to learn how to walk before you run.
No, you need to learn to crawl before you walk, or
crawl before you walk, and walk before you
adults,
run.
So we're at the stage of walking, but I mean running. Like I think I went. Marilyn said this
Depends
afternoon.
how much we drink, right, Daniel?
I literally went from 0 to Fast and Furious like within the first year.
Yeah.
I wanted everything now. So we got the chickens, we got the not the ducks, the rabbits. And then we bought the rabbits, we had no place to put them. And then we had to build something makeshift right away. And then, okay, that didn't work. We had to do something else. We ended up working all our weekends, all our summers. And then during the winter, we had to work on the house because we bought a century-old home. So there's renovations to do in the house. Then unfinished projects outside accumulates, and then unfinished projects inside the house accumulates during the summer months. So we're always in that chaos of never-ending projects.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head right there with the rabbits. It's like, you have room for 4 rabbits or 5 rabbits, until 4 rabbits or 5 rabbits become 60 rabbits.
Yeah.
I don't have that issue. Mine won't reproduce for some reason.
You got a male.
My females keep losing their babies.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have bad mothers.
Oh, at least they have
well,
babies.
freezer can't start new.
chickens where, he couldn't have babies. It's like, okay, well, you might want to put a male in there, and then maybe you might.
Well, I have 2 males and 4 females.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Mm.
But
So
I have
Marilyn, what would you guys change?
Me?
You're Marilyn.
I was not sure, so it was Marilyn.
Wait.
I think, Tracy, stop that.
Well, you got all made up and everything for tonight, so I had to, eye candy for the consumer, for the
Exactly.
I don't know.
You're not going to look at Remy or Tracy.
right.
I won't even say what Mike said to me tonight.
Please do.
Oh, that's a question for the after show.
Yeah. Write that down for a later note.
I will. Say,
All right.
go, Marilyn. It's your turn.
Go, girl.
When we bought the house, I didn't have homestead in my head. It was kind of the house for the garden. So what would we change? For sure, even if I didn't have a homestead, closer to the family would be good, because now we have a river to cross to go to see the family. It's long. And maybe in zone 5 would be nice for everything. Like, I'm in 3B now, so it's kind of cold for a lot of things.
Kind of cold?
Kinda. But now that I'm established, like I have the garden, yes, I have the rabbits. Rabbits went bigger. We have a bigger house. I think the house for the rabbit is bigger than a mini home right now.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So,
to be fair, there's only 2 of you, right? Versus how many rabbits?
now 6, but yeah. 16 summer.
So it's fair that they have a bigger house.
And now we have the
how many in your
forest,
freezer?
we have the hop, we have everything. And now I don't have enough space. And I'm not in the agriculture zone either. So I want pigs, I want ducks. Not sure where I will put them. Not sure the neighbors will be happy.
How much property do you have again?
I think it's 1.2 acres.
Nice.
Well, if you want stagnant pigs, you can do that. But I don't think your neighbor will enjoy it.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. Tomorrow's another day.
Problem future, Marilyn.
We'll stick them under the woods.
Yeah,
We
tuck
have
them
good enough
in the back
area,
of the woods.
Remy?
Well, I think you pretty much covered it all between all of you. I mean, I think I had the right mindset when I started, because I knew I wanted to go start small and expand as I went. Not spend too much money at once, but I was just like investing maybe $500 a year to try to expand my homestead. Knowing what I know now, of course, there's a lot of things I would do differently. For one, I would probably not buy this house. But like Darren said, I mean, it was situational where I didn't really have much choice in what I was buying, because when I purchased the house in 2010, I had just gone through bankruptcy because of my business in January, and I bought the house in July. So, my girlfriend had to put her name on the house, and my dad had to co-sign because my girlfriend was running into some issues with her ex as well. So my dad, being the co-signer, I mean, he had a say in what we were buying. And of course, I trusted my dad. And it just happened that we visited a few houses, and we couldn't find anything that was worth the price we were willing to pay. And my mom was working with this lady, and she was looking to sell to move to Montreal, but the house wasn't on the market yet. And she told my mom, she's like, well, if you want the house, tell your kids to come and visit it, and we'll make a deal after. Like, we'll work on a deal after. So we came here, and it was okay. It was a decent house, like it was livable. And of course, as soon as we came in, my mom looked at everything, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna have a lot of cleanup to do. And she was all like in a go mode. So we bought the house. I think back in the days it was like $63,000. It was very, very cheap. But we still have, I think it's just a little bit over an acre. There wasn't much on the land itself other than the house and like a few birch trees. That being said, I ran into some issues, like what Marilyn is talking about like just 2 seconds ago. I mean, we ended up here. When I looked at the map, when I decided I wanted to have animals, I looked at the map of the village, and all the zones were marked with colors. Now, there was yellow was agriculture, and there was a different tint of yellow that was residential. But when I looked at the map, there was no way to tell the difference on the internet. So in my head, it was like, okay, well, I'm surrounded by farms. We have like the big strawberry field behind us. Two neighbors down the road, they have horses, they have chickens, they have everything. So obviously, I'm allowed to have pigs. But guess what? I was not allowed to have pigs. I was not allowed to have chickens. I was not allowed to have anything. So if I was to start over again, I would try to find a place where I could have all those animals. But then again, when I purchased the house 15 years ago, that wasn't the main goal. I wanted to have a place to put my family in. Something else, Annie, you talked about, a circle of people that were in the same mindset. I think that with everything that happened in the last 3 to 4 years, a lot of people are moving that way, and a lot of people are talking a lot more about it. Just in the past 2 years, I mean, I've been homesteading for 4 years now, so let's say like half the time I was homesteading, I met some people. Well, didn't meet them. I just realized that a lot of people in my
it happened, like you came across people.
Yeah, well, they were high school friends, or they were family members that we don't see often, and turns out they were homesteaders as well, and we didn't even know about it. So like my high school friend, she told me that she was canning and she was gardening, and she didn't do animals, but she had like all the canning stuff like going. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to learn from you. And then this lady I was playing softball with is like, oh, you started gardening and stuff, you can? I'm like, yeah, well, I'm hoping to learn. She's like, well, you should come in my place. I'm going to teach you how to harvest mushrooms, and I'm going to teach you how to can, and we're going to do this and this, and I'm going to show. Like, where are you all coming from? You've been in surroundings for the last forever, and suddenly you just appear out of nowhere homesteading.
When you start looking for it, you start seeing it.
Yeah.
I find it weird that we have to pay for these trainings now, like basic survival training, like mushroom hunting. If I want to go mushroom hunting, I have to either meet someone or pay for a course. If I want to learn how to can, I either have to watch hours and gajillions of hours of YouTube content and pray that the person that's filming is actually following basic security rules. Because when I started learning canning, my mindset was, if someone is taking the time to film themselves, it's because they are following basic rules. Not true. So like you start doing bad things and then thinking in the back of your head that you were doing it correctly. And you have to, like, it's like double whammy in your face, because like, one, you did something wrong, and then it just explodes in your face, not literally, but like figuratively.
Yeah.
So I kind of find that basic survival should be taught as we grow up. Like, basics. I'm not saying like survival in the woods. If you want to go for that, fine. That's a whole different. But like
going through elementary school, like just being able to start a fire, start seeds.
Yeah. Well, actually, not just the fire, but like the security around the fire. Like, what does the fire do? What happens if the fire is this color? What happens if this fire is this color? If it's that color, stay away from it. Why stay away from it? Like basic stuff.
But you know what?
I don't want to. Yeah, and it's going to teach other one doing stupid things, but still.
Well, even like in my grandparents' days, my grandparents had the mentality of, you don't know how to swim? Well, let's teach you.
In the water.
Yeah. And so they learned, I think, a lot by doing, and we're so compounded, or what is the word? By rules.
Yeah.
We're so constrained by
there it is. Yeah.
others and what the government says is right and what's wrong.
Right.
But
and
to bring us back to the topic,
we can actually pull our wings out.
Tracy, what would you have changed about your property?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. I have it written here, and it's basically I would have started decades earlier in earnest. I wouldn't change. When I got out of the service, the things I did when I got out of the service, I wouldn't change, because a lot of that goes towards going to college and working at Riverside Malls where I met Wendy and stuff like that. But homesteading, I would have started in earnest, learning these skills. My father, my stepfather was the man was a master gardener. Of course, he had a kid that could do his weeding for him, and I hated it. He is literally looking down at me, laughing when I'm in my garden. But I could have learned.
That's why you hate weeding so much.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we kind of laugh at you too sometimes when you're in the garden.
Most people do. That's okay, because
no borders, no borders.
Before I pull the cameras out.
Hey, if we can't laugh at each other,
well, it has to be nice laugh. Nice laugh.
Well, it's always a nice laugh. If I can bring joy to others, even if it's at my own expense, absolutely, that's what I want to do. But yeah, I would have started earlier, knowing I would have been more aware of, especially if I knew what I know now, I would have been more aware of what's coming and set myself up better for the restrictions that have come up in the last few years. I just would have listened and learned and shut my mouth. Stop trying to get out of. I used to try to aggravate my father so he would kick me out of the garden, and it would work. After a while, he would get out of here, and I wish I wouldn't have done that, because I spent more energy trying to get out of work than I did if I would have just weeded 2 or 3 rows of his. Of course, okay, his rows were like 30, 40 feet long, depending on which garden you went to. But
I think all of us would say that, we would have loved to pay more attention to what our parents did, what our grandparents did, that sort of thing.
Well, I don't come from an agriculture or garden background, so even if I paid more attention to it, well, actually, I did pay so much attention to what they said. I actually followed so much the rules. I never got in trouble, but I would not have an agriculture background. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But
what else, Tracy?
Well, it's. I don't know. I think I would have, because I started earlier, because I would have started earlier working towards the goal, I would have been able to be more selective with the properties I bought. I would buy closer to Fort Leyden, where my support structure is.
Yeah.
and it's also more remote than what I am now, but closer to family and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, and I would have been working towards the same goals, but differently, kind of, because well, there's just so much. I've forgotten so much that I learned, if that makes sense.
It's kind of interesting to listen to what everyone has said, because what we've all kind of said is like, we have all learned so much from the properties we've had. Like, I don't think if we had jumped into our first property right away, and some of us had, we'd be in the same situation. I think all of us needed kind of that first property to kind of gain more knowledge on what we really needed going forward in the future, whether it be like we needed different soil, we needed the stream, we needed to be closer to family, we needed to actually learn more before we really jumped into it. It's funny that first property, or our first property that we're on, has really been a huge learning step and a huge learning curve for us. And going into maybe our second property or improving the property we're on, we've learned it from that first property.
I had
I'm not sure I would move, because yes, the property is not perfect here, but I've put so much work on it now. And like I said this afternoon, I went fast and furious now to be relaxed later. If I move, I'll have to start at zero again. And it will take another 10 years to get there. I will be 50 by then.
But I think that's the other situation, is that I think we've all kind of advanced our property far enough that, you know, you start looking at another property to purchase that may have the features you want now. You're actually taking a step back in other cases where you may not have the fencing for your animals. You may not have the food forest you've established. You may not have the rabbit colonies you've built up. You may not have that beautiful atmosphere that you've developed. So it's interesting that we've learned so much from the properties we've now been on, but if we would change things, would it really make that much of a difference in where we are now?
I had another inspiration I had. Like, I talk a lot about my one set of grandparents, because they had kind of the idea of what I wanted growing up. They had the smaller house. My grandparents built their house. And I think they had just over an acre. And I thought that was huge. But I always knew, and my sister-in-law will tell me this to this day. She's like, ever since I can remember, and she's been in my life since she was 13. So I was 8. You've always said you wanted a small house and a big property. You always knew what you wanted. And I have that now. And sometimes we don't realize in the moment until we start looking, like, you know. But another inspiration for me growing up was my other set of grandparents, who came over here from Italy and had nothing and had a home that they raised their kids in town. Like, I think it was Arlington Avenue in Toronto. And they lived in Toronto, in town. But I always remember my nono, he always had a big, huge garden in his tiny backyard. I couldn't believe how much food he grew. And they ended up moving later on in life, like towards the end. But I always remember the tomatoes, the salad, the spices, the basil coming from their garden in the backyard. And it planted, I think it was a big part of planting this seed. And so sometimes we don't know what we have until it's gone. But going back to what you guys were saying earlier, I wish that we had paid attention to our older generations really wish that I could also, one of the things that I don't really have a lot of is, and I realized this with another set, my Nana, who was Scottish, I have one recipe from her. One. I wish I had grabbed my Nano's, like,
It's haggis, right?
no, it's shortbread.
Oh,
so you didn't see that video.
oh,
Scottish shortbread. It was her recipe. They are
my
the
grandmother
best.
used to make amazing shortbread.
Yes, this one she came over when she was 15, and but anyways, my Nano, my grandfather, he would make his own wine vinegar, and I have uncles that still make it, but it's not his. I wish for the life of me I had that recipe. It was we used to fight for salad at family dinners. Like the grandkids, it wasn't for dessert, because after they have their salads after dinner, it wasn't for dessert. It was for Nano salad. And I don't have it. So I don't have it. And I wish I did. And their tomato sauce, but I wish I had those recipes. But that's another thing that, not that I would change about a homestead, but I would add to it.
Yeah. Remy, you said you had something?
Not really. I didn't say a word in the last 5 minutes. I was just pointing out. When Angie said that she didn't know how they were able to grow that many food in such a small place, Hanny does that too. She has a small property in the backyard. It's full of food.
I have a third of an acre. That's 15,000 square feet. My house is on that, and I have a lot of land that is not usable because of the big trees.
So with those grandparents' backyard, you could literally put two people arm to arm to touch the fences, and they had a long backyard. But I mean, I don't know, maybe it was like 30 feet. So all they had was everything was garden, and they had a walkway down the middle. Yeah. But
wow,
I'm sure he would have preferred a much bigger space to garden, but they did with what they had.
And I think having a bigger property, people, if someone's watching this, and hopefully some people are going to watch this, but if someone's watching this with the intentions of starting a homestead, keep in mind, if you have a bigger property, that you might want to have a food forest. That's something that if I would have known 10 years ago, I would have started. I had this one apple tree. It ended up dying, but I was able to revive it. And, I've been having a few apples every year. Unfortunately, for some reason, the last 2 years, the tree it kind of looks sick. But I planted a bunch of other apple trees, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, honeyberries, blackcurrant, red currant, white currant, grapes, rhubarb, and all that kind of stuff. A bunch of perennials, a bunch of stuff that once I get too old to bend over to plant some seeds, I will at least have a chance to trip in something or fall on the ground and grab something on the ground. It's free food. And once you invest that, it's free.
There's kind of two thoughts on that, where I'd say, with us, we've got 13 acres here. As soon as we bought it, we started planting trees right away. Fruit trees are going in everywhere.
Yeah.
That said, I think there are people like Annie. We had neighbors when I grew up. They used to babysit me. That they do more on 1 acre property than we do on our 13 acres, because they are able to utilize that property more efficiently.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say something after.
Do not think that getting a bigger property will help you.
Yeah.
No, but what I meant is, if you only have like a 30 by 10 feet property, you can't really plant an orchard, right?
No, exactly. However, like if you do have a big property, plant trees, plant orchards. Like that's the first thing we did, and we do it every year. Is we order trees and we plant. Mm-hmm. But what I've seen is our regular garden, our raised bed garden, our regular garden is not as efficient as others who have a smaller property. because they're used to gardening on a smaller property, so they use it more effectively than we do.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we have tons of space, we can do whatever. So it kind of negatively impacts how we utilize our space.
Oh, look, there's Michigan. Wait.
I was going to say something. Well, actually, I had two things. I wrote it down so I don't forget. I have a 15,000 square feet property, which 2,500 square feet is gardening space. In there, I also have a big shed that has my chickens. But smaller property is easier to maintain than a big property. So when you start and you have 15 acres, let's just say, you have 15 acres to attend. So if there's grass, if there's trees, every year there's going to be trees falling. You're going to have to take care of that. You're going to have to maintain your roads, your back roads. If you want to hunt on your property, like there's like a lot of maintain to do on big properties. And the smaller the property, you're still going to have loads to do, but it's all focused, like it's all centered to a smaller location. And it kind of comes back to everyone. Like we learn more on smaller, and then we can scale up if ever we want to move. But then there is the side note of we have to restart. Part of me feels that if I had to restart, I would be discouraged. But there's another part of me that would actually see it as an opportunity. Because there's things that, oh my God, there's things I've done here that I would never do. Like I would do totally different. Like the chickens, they would not be where they are. I would not leave the water the way that it's set up. So I can't change it.
I think we all can say that is like animals would be in different locations than they are. We would have started doing stuff differently. One of our first things that when we bought the homestead, we would have put underground water for the cows. There's so much we move around, but you hit on something that really kind of strikes a nerve is that in the small property where you said you have a shed here and the chickens here and the garden here, you don't have to move stuff around a lot. You're very effective for what you do. So
it depends whose husband you have. My husband leaves his tools all over the
you take the manure and you want to take it to the compost, right? You may be able to use the wheelbarrow. For us, we stuck the chickens there, the compost there, the garden over there. So it's like it might be half an hour to get one load of chicken manure over to the compost kind of thing. So it's like there's good and bad with each. Yeah. And you really got to take each into consideration and use it effectively.
Well, that's why one of the reasons that we built the barn first, there's a couple of reasons. One, I didn't want to throw up my forever house and just get it done to get it done, which that was the barn. The barn was get it up, get it done so we have shelter. And so last September November. So this past November, it's been 2 years since we've been building the cabin. And I'm so grateful as much as I want to get in because there's been so many changes along the way. And there's a pretty big one that we're going to bring out in 2 videos. All Mike had to say was he wanted an office with a window, and it changed the entirety of the whole upstairs. So
He's taking the bedroom for himself?
No.
He's kicking you out of the house and keeping you in the barn?
I'll say it here, but what was going to be our big bedroom is now going to be 3 bedrooms, and our bedroom is going to be on the other side of the house, and he's going to have an office with a window. And so I redesigned the whole upstairs, but we've sat on it. We've had the opportunity because we're building and we're not in a rush. As much as we want to be in a home, we're not like, okay, we need it tomorrow. We wanted to take our time to think things through, make sure everything sat with us okay, think of everyday life. And so the design is it's much better, actually. I don't know why I didn't think of it first. So I'm grateful he spoke up. And but that's another thing I would both recommend.
You know what? Tell them to shut up. I have 2 windows in my office, and I'm trying to find a way to block them.
Curtain.
Blackout curtains. Well, that's something.
The sun doesn't shine, like it'll be morning sun. facing east. But
that's something that I would also recommend is if you are building your house, finish it before you move in.
Really?
I will not move in until it's done. Mike.
Well, mine's not finished, and I've been here for 15 years.
Yeah, me too.
Exactly.
No.
We started building. We built the cabin 32 by 32 like 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, and I still have R19. Yep.
I have been drilling Mike. So when we lived in town, right? We lived in town. We always wanted to do some renovations. Yeah. We always wanted to do some things to change the house, right? And we never did. Then it was, okay, we bought or we put an offer in up here. And in 3 weeks, we gutted our entire house, refinished the floors, redid the carpeting, all to put it on the market. Did we do it for ourselves? No. That was my driving factor to building the barn first. And I wanted to take our time. So now, because we did that, come hell or high water, our cabin will get finished, even if it takes us 10 years, but it will not take us 10 years. But the barn was always like, we're never going to get it. So we built it first. And when we had to sell the cabin, we had a 3-week closing. So in order to put it on the market, we had to make it look pretty. So we also did everything in 2 weeks that we couldn't get done in a year and a half. So I told Mike, I recognize who we are. We mean well. We have big hearts. But if we move in unfinished, it's going to stay unfinished because life carries on. So if you're not the type of person to have it done, get it done before you go in.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I have holes in my ceiling. Like 6 years. No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I can say the same thing because this house here, we were in the lower apartment and we were renting from Bridget's sister. And then when we bought the entire thing, we're like, we need to really finish that side of the house before we move into the entire house. Mm-hmm. And we did finish some stuff, but not everything. And that everything that we did not finish
is still not.
So
I've been
well, it also changed a lot. I mean, when you bought this house, you never thought of doing the cold room you have now.
No, and there is some stuff like that where the cold room was kind of a necessity because of what we do, and we wanted to harvest and butcher all our own meat, so that was kind of a necessity. Whereas there's some stuff where the one wall that has this old Italian wine brick wallpaper, we've had the pine wood in the garage for 4 years. That pine wood
to
is
replace
still
it,
in the garage, and we still haven't covered up that wallpaper with the wine vines and stuff. So yes, there is stuff that we want to do and we have completed. There's other stuff that you don't think is a necessity, so it kind of gets pushed off.
Yeah. We've been on an hour, so it's getting close to time, or it is time for us to go over to Patreon. Join us.
I had one more thing to say, if it's possible.
Yep, absolutely.
You can see it on Patreon.
Well, it kind of goes with the subject of everyone. It's kind of like, I find it's perfect closure.
How about you start it off, or
well, it's up to you. I can say it now, or it could be an opening for Patreon.
Well, you can say
it can be both.
It can be both. But you can say it now, and then just go into where we can find you, and then we'll go through everybody where we can find you on the interweb.
Okay. So I find when I started, I had a mindset of self-sufficiency and exclusively here. So I can do it, I can do it. I'm strong. I'm a strong woman. Let's do it. Face on. Let's go. Let's take it on. I no longer believe
I can do it. Put your back into it.
Yeah, put your back into it. No, dance. Yeah. No, it's It's not that. Self-sufficiency is unattainable alone.
It is unattainable.
So,
I think there
Well,
are all of us who have tried. There are many other good channels that have tried. It is a goal that we can work towards, but I don't think it is attainable.
I think, and this is not my quote, this is from Roots and Refuge Farm, Jess. Same thing. She no longer believes in self-sufficiency. She believes in community self-sufficiency. So as a community, we can grow our own tomatoes because, we have our little nicks and knacks and we prefer and blah, blah, blah. But as a community, if we come together, it's like the Amish, almost like them. And we could be, if we wanted to be not self-sufficient, but we could be closer to self-sufficient.
So that means you guys all have to move closer to me.
To me.
To me.
To me.
Right. And we're going to call it To Me Place.
To me.
To me.
This is To Me Community.
Yeah, to me.
Right in the middle.
Right in the
Just
middle.
to let you guys know, this is a map that Marilyn made us. These are the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River. You have Remy and Marilyn, and then Darren and Brigitte, Annie, Patrick, and Angie, and then me down here in the States. That is Patrick is actually in Canada.
Yeah.
Are we on Patreon right now?
No, but we are just about to switch it.